Marvel Spider-Man is coming to Magic the Gathering very soon, so today we are going to take a look at some cards that could be staples in Pauper, or at least they could be some really cool brew rounds. First we will do a list of honorable mentions and then we will dive right into my top 5. Obviously it's very possible that your top 5 and mine will differ, so please leave a comment below of what I forgot. So first let's start with the honorable mention list, and number 1 we have Stegron the Dinosaur Man. This is very simple. 5 mana 5/4 with menace, decent stat line. It has the dinosaur formula ability, which for 2 we can discard this, and until end of turn target creature we control gets +3/+1 and becomes a dinosaur. We've seen a similar card being played in Gruul Ramp, so that's why I'm taking this to the honorable mention list. What I feel like is actually pretty interesting about these creatures in particular is that they are legendary, which actually means that cast down doesn't really work against them, and cast down is one of the most used removal spells in the black color, and most colors can't really deal with this, right? Yes, you can use something like Galvanic Blast or Flame Slash, but the black color is mostly known for dealing with those really big threats, and now they can't. So I think if those cards get played, they kinda will be forced to play something like Go for the Throat, which does kill any creature as long as not an artifact creature, which this one is not, so it would work. So this is why I think those cards are pretty interesting because of the legendary status, and this one in general is pretty flexible because of the dinosaur formula ability as well, and 5/4 with menace is nothing to sneeze at. Now let's move on to card number 2, and we've got Steel Wrecking Ball. I think this card is good exactly in just one deck, and that's Mono Red Tron, and Mono Red Tron has not been a part of the meta game for a pretty long time. It's kind of a side, very niche deck. I personally find it pretty fun, that's why I'm putting the Steel Wrecking Ball here. It's a 5 mana artifact. When it ETBs, it deals 5 damage to target creature, and we can discard it again for 2. We can destroy target artifact, which, I mean, the flexibility is pretty good, but you don't really want this in any other deck than Tron. But I like Tron, so that's why we have the Steel Wrecking Ball here. Next, we've got Venom Evil Unleashed. This is 5 mana 4/5 with Death Touch. Again, it follows the same rules. It's a legendary creature, which means it doesn't die to cast down, and it can't be killed by things like Galvanic Blast even because of the 5 toughness, and it's pretty grindy. We can exile this from our graveyard for 3 and put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It gains Death Touch until end of turn just as a sorcery. Again, if there is a debut of Golgari Ramp with Arbor Elf and everything, this could be pretty good. It's a good turn 3 play in the deck, and I think it's pretty hard to deal with, and even if they kill it, it's still very good. Since it has Death Touch, it can block pretty well cards like Writhing Chrysalis or even Snakes from Mono Blue Tempo, so I really like this card actually, and definitely will try to brew around that a little bit. Next up on the honorable mention list is City Pigeon, and this card is here purely for fun. I will definitely try to brew something around that. I have no idea which deck would want this. If you have an idea, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear your ideas. But it's a 1/1 with flying for 1, which is okay, especially in white. White has a lot of flyers for 1, but when it leaves the battlefield, we create a food. Now, does that mean we want to ephemerate it? Does that mean we want to bounce it? Does that mean we want to play it with Cauldron Familiar and play a food package with this? Or Gates? I absolutely have no idea. Or does it mean we want to bounce it back to our hand with something like Skyfisher? I honestly don't know. I just think this card is really cool, and we will definitely try to brew around that a little bit. We've got 3 cards left on the honorable mention list, and we are getting into the territory of this card looks cool, but I have no idea where its home is or where would I play it. This one is the Eerie Gravestone, 2 mana artifact. When it ETBs, we draw a card, but later we can sacrifice it. We actually need to play black for that, and we mill 4 cards. We may put a creature from among them back into our hand. So again, it's kinda like double duty. This looks to be bounced maybe, because it draws when it ETBs, or you can play this in a grindier deck that plays black, although which deck that's very grindy plays a lot of creatures, right? So it's like the card is good purely by rate, but the abilities are pretty weird on this one, and I'm not really sure if it will find home. So if you have a home for this card, please let me know below. I have no idea yet. And next up is Mob Lookout, the Dimmer 2-drop. This card has struck me as a really cool card, but again, no idea where would I play this. Is it a card for Dimmer control? I have no idea. Maybe if you play something like the Modern Age and you want to discard cards and Sneaky Snacker, that's pretty good, right? It's definitely not a bad option. It's a 0/3, which when it ETBs, target creature does convive, and this can make it a 1/4, which is a very good blocker against the mono red decks since it doesn't die to Lightning Bolt. So I think that's pretty quite powerful as far as the stat line goes. It really depends how much synergy you have with your graveyard and discarding cards, but I don't hate it. I think it's actually quite powerful, but again, no idea where the home for this one would be. The last card on the honorable mention list, which I think is quite cool but maybe a little bit underpowered, is Pumpkin Bombardment. Now, I'm not sure if black wants to play this, because they already have cards like Bone Shards to deal with creatures. If they are going for the Madness strategy, it destroys the creature, not just deals 3 damage. So I think this is mostly fit for red decks if they are going heavy on the Madness strategy. But again, I already think the red Madness decks are set in stone and this card won't really help them. I just wanted to mention it because it's pretty cool and it's definitely an option if you are trying to build a black and or red Madness deck. There is definitely some support in this set with the new Mayhem mechanic for this kind of ability, so let's see if this actually will make its debut and make some decks work. Now it's time to dive into the top 5, and we are actually starting really boring because now we have the new Surveil lands. The campuses from Strixhaven did absolutely the same thing, but they did a Scry instead of Surveil, and those were played sometimes, very niche card, but they were played, and as we know from Modern and other formats, Surveiling is much better than just scrying. So I think if you have a grinded deck that cares about the graveyard a little bit and it plays at least 2 colors, I think the Surveil lands could actually be pretty awesome, and we will definitely try them in our decks as well. Number 4 is Masked Meower. I think the art is awesome, but I think this will see play just in one deck because it's a directly better version of Insolent Neonet. We've seen this card played in Mono Red Dredge or Mono Red Dredge Madness, depending on how you want to call that, and this will be an upgrade for sure. So this will see play in that one deck, but other than that, I don't think this will see play at all. But you know, that's a meta deck, so that's why we have this in the top 4. Spot number 3 is taken up by Spectacular Tactics, 2 mana instant. I think this is a direct upgrade from Destroy Evil. It really depends, because Destroy Evil does destroy enchantments, and this instead protects our creature because it gives them a +1/+1 counter and they gain hexproof until end of turn. Now the second part is a little bit different as well, because Destroy Evil does destroy a creature if its toughness is 4 or greater, but this card does care about power. It really depends what you think is more likely to be 4 or greater. I personally think it's power, but you know, there are cards like Writing Chrysalis where it's going to be toughness, so it depends, but I think this is a little better than Destroy Evil, especially in decks like Jeskai Ephemerate, because the enchantment type is not as common, not something you need to destroy, but to protect the creatures you have seems to be pretty important in most decks. We are getting to the bread and butter, because in spot number 2 we've got Spider-Man Webslinger, 3 mana 3/3, very simple creature, but it has web slinging, which means we can cast its spell for just 1 white if we return a tapped creature we control to our hand. So I don't think this card has a home as of right now, but we will definitely try to play that. We already have a deck named Camel Squad, which definitely wants this card, and I think there will be many more white, very aggressive decks, maybe using something like Springleaf Drum or Gene Pollinator, or even the Holdout Settlements and those lands to tap creatures and gain value from that, because 1 mana 3/3 is pretty powerful even in Pauper. It's said that it does die to Lightning Bolt, it does die to Chain Lightning and to Galvanic Blast, but Cast Down can't target it because yet again it's legendary. Now the fact that it's legendary may be a little bit bad in some sense, because if you have multiples obviously you have to sacrifice them until you have 1, but 1 mana 3/3 is I think always good. And my personal favorite, and in spot number 1 we have Swarm Being of Bees. This is a 3 mana 2/2 with Flash and Flying. It's legendary yet again, which means doesn't die to Cast Down, but you don't want to have multiples, and it has Mayhem 1. So Mayhem 1 is similar to Madness, but it first has to hit the graveyard and then we can cast it for the Mayhem cost as long as we discarded it this turn, and timing rules do apply. They don't really to Swarm because it has Flash, which means that we will be able to discard that and cast it at instant speed even if it gets refurbed or something, which is pretty awesome. And this is very similar to Kitchen Imp. That card is played in Rakdos Madness. I'm not sure if this is better or worse. The fact that you can't have multiples make this, I don't know, a little bit weird at times, but also it's a 3 mana 2/2 with Flash and Flying, so if you don't have a way to discard it, I think hardcasting this one is much more acceptable than hardcasting a Kitchen Imp for 4. But the real deal here is Mono Black Madness, a a deck that I don't think will be super meta, but a deck I will definitely try to brew around. We will play 4 Kitchen Imps, 4 Swarm Being of Bees, and I think it will be really fun with all these new cards. And Mayhem is definitely a strong mechanic, is like a brother to Madness, and Madness is already very powerful. Now I'm interested if you think this card will be played in Rakdos Madness, because I'm not really sure. I think the Imp might be enough, but Swarm is really strong again, so maybe it will replace the Imp, or maybe there will be played like 2 copies in the deck, I'm not really sure. And that is the end of my list. Please let me know which cards I forgot, because there are a lot of new cards, and I think this set has been a pretty successful one. There isn't anything game breaking like in Edge of Eternities and Cryogenic Relic, but there are really cool brew rounds and cards you really want to build around. I feel like it really incentivizes good deck building and experimenting, which is what we are all about on this channel, so I'm pretty happy with Spider-Man. With that being said, have a great rest of the day and bye.